Hello everyone. I'm going to be going over the AQA GCSE Maths Foundation Tier Paper 1, 2021. Just to do a walkthrough of the paper and how you get to the answers. So, yeah, the first question is work out 0.02 times 100. So, that's going to be 2. Second question, circle the expression that is equal to x plus x plus x minus x plus x. So that's going to be 3x, because you're adding x to itself 3 times. So you get 4x and then you minus x, so you get 3x. Third question, what is 260 millimeters in centimeters? So that's 26, because there's 10 millimeters in a centimeter. 10 millimeters in a centimeter. Question 4. Which shape can have sides with lengths that are all different? Trapezium. So if you think about it, as long as the quadrilateral has a pair of parallel sides, then it doesn't matter if they're all different or not, it'll be a trapezium. So something like this. These pair of sides are parallel, but you know, clearly none of the sides are of equal length. It's not a kite, because you need to have 2 pairs of equal sides, like this. This is one pair, this is the other pair of equal sides, sides of equal length, rather. Parallelogram, again, you need 2 pairs of parallel sides and they need to be equal. So these pair are parallel, this is the other pair, and these pair of parallel sides are all well, this side and this side are equal in length and are parallel. This side and this side are parallel to each other and they're of equal length. And it's not rhombus either, because it's all 4 sides need to be of equal length. So question 5. Work out negative 8 times 5. So that's negative 40. 5 times 8 is 40, but it's a minus. Minus times a positive is a minus. Question 6. Luke buys 4 apples and 5 bananas. The total cost is £3.70. Each apple costs 35 pence. What is the cost in pence of each banana? So if we write this as in algebraic terms, so if we say A represents an apple and B represents a banana, then we can write the first part as 4A plus 5B equals 370, and we're converting this in pence because the question wants us to work out the cost in pence. Each apple costs 35 pence, so we just need to substitute this in the equation. So 4A would be 140 plus 5B equals 370, and then 5B would be 230, and then you just divide by 5 afterwards. So that would be 4 remainder 3, and then 30 divided 5 is 6. So the answer is each banana costs 46 pence. Yeah. So question 7. Rashid counted in the pieces of homework he had done in 3 subjects. He draws a pictogram to show the results. So each circle represents 4 pieces of homework. and there are 4 quarters in the circle, so each quarter represents one piece of homework. And then we need to, then it says 7A, so this has parts. So 7A, Rashid did 5 pieces of geography homework, showed this information on the pictogram. So if we just draw this pictogram, maths, English, geography, maths there's 5, English there's 3 whole ones and 2 quarters, geography, so he did 5 pieces of geography homework, so that would be 1 whole circle and 1 quarter, because each quarter of a circle represents 1 piece of homework. So that's 7A. 7B, Rashid spent 30 minutes on each piece of homework. Work out the total time he spent on homework for these 3 subjects. Give your answer in hours and minutes. So if we go into the pictogram, so if we count the number of whole circles, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 whole circles, and each circle will represent 120 minutes because each quarter is 30 minutes. So that's 9 times 120 minutes, which is 2 hours. 120 minutes, 2 hours. So that's 18 hours from those whole circles. And then if we count the quarters, so there's 2 quarters here and 1 quarter there, so 3 quarters. And each quarter represents 30 minutes, because it's mentioned in the question. So 3 times 30 minutes, and that gives us 90, 1 hour 30. So 1 hour 30, and then if you add these 2 together, so 18 hours and 1 hour 30, that gives you 19 hours 30 minutes. So that's 7B. Question 8. A travel company is taking some passengers on a trip. They can either use coaches or minibuses. They can use coaches or minibuses. Each coach can carry 53 passengers. Each minibus can carry 12 passengers. The passengers going on the trip would fill exactly 3 coaches. If they only used minibuses, how many will they need? So it says the passengers going on the trip would fill exactly 3 coaches. So that means the total number of passengers is 53 times 3. And that is 159 passengers in total. And so if they only use minibuses, then we need to divide by 12. So 159 divide 12, so that would be 15 and divide 12, so 1 remainder 3, and then 39 divide 12 is 3 remainder 3. And at this point, you know the answer is going to be 13 point something. So the answer must be 14 minibuses, because you can't have point something of a minibus. But we'll just to complete this division, we'll still go ahead. So 30 divide 12 is 2 remainder 6. And then 60 divide 12 is 5. So 13.25 minibuses, but you can't have 0.25 of a minibus, so we need to round the answer up to 14. So can't have decimal. Actually, we'll just say can only have integer number of minibuses. So the answer is 14. So question 9. One side of a triangle is extended. Work out or circle the angle. Circle the size of angle x. So if we just draw this out, this is angle x. This angle here is 60. This angle here is 40. So the answer is going to be 100, because angles in a triangle add up to 100. So this is 60, this is 40. So this angle must be 80, because angles in a triangle add up to 180, and then angles in a straight line also add up to 180. So x plus 80 is 180, because angles in a straight line add up to 180. So 100 is the answer. Question 10. Pavel uses his calculator to work out 352 times 7,268. So 352 times 7,268, and circle the last digit. So 2 times 8 gives you 16. You'd carry the 1 over in the calculation, so you're left with 6. So 6 is the answer. Question 11. Complete the diagram so that it has rotational symmetry of order 4 and the center of rotation at point A. So the diagram looks like this. This is point A and there's the triangle. So what this means is we need to complete the shape so that when you spin it for a full 360 degree turn at center A, then in the process of turning, it would look like itself exactly 4 times during the 360 degree spin or turn. Because the rotational symmetry is of order 4, that means that the shape will look like itself during each 90 degree turn, because 360 degrees divide 4 is 90 degrees. So for every 90 degree turn you do, the shape will look exactly like itself. So if we were to rotate the shape 90 degree clockwise, you'd get this. After you rotate 90 degrees clockwise, and then if you do another 90 degrees, it would look like this, and then another 90 degrees, it would look like this, and then there's your answer. And if you do another 90 degrees, you'd get back to where you started, the triangle at the top. So that's the principle of how you'd answer the question. Obviously this is not neat, but in the diagram you'd draw out the triangle exactly how it is. So this one is 3 squares up and 2 squares horizontally, and when you rotate it, then this side will be 3, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 2, and this is 3, and this is 2. So question 12. 10% of 2,100 is 210. Work out 43%. So we're given 10% as 210, and work out 43%. So we can do 40%, and to get 40% you do 10% times 4, So you'd have to do the same with 210, so 210 times 4 is 840. You can then do 1% by doing 10% divide 10. So you do the same with 210. So 210 divide 10 is 21. And then you can do 3% there by doing 1% times 3. So you do the same with 21. 21 times 3, 63. So now we can achieve 43% now by adding this 40% and the 3% together. So that gives you 43%. So we do the same with the equivalents on the right. So 840 plus 63. And then that would give us 903. And that's the answer to 12. Question 13. Katie records the number of cars using a drive-through each hour for 24 hours. Here are the results. Katie makes this tally and frequency chart to put the data into groups. Make 2 criticisms of the chart. Okay, so looking at the chart, you can see that the groups overlap on the number of cars, because you have 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, so on, and then you get the last one, 40 to 50. So the groups overlap. You got the upper limit of one group then overlaps with the lower limit of the next group, and then that just keeps repeating itself. So 20 here, 20 there, 13 and 30, and then you have 40 and 40. So that the problem here is, for example, one of the values is 10. How do you know whether you should put that in? One of the values in the results is 10. So how do you know whether you should put that in this group or that group? And there's other values like 20. How do you know if that goes in the second one or the third group, or 40 even? Where does that go in the 30 to 40 or the 40 to 50? So the groups overlap. So that's one criticism. The second criticism is, if you look at the results, there's 2 values in there, 53 and 57. Now the problem is with the chart, you can't put that in the chart itself because the table only goes up to 50. So where do you put 53 and 57? Because the maximum in the table only goes up to 50. So 53 and 57 are unplaced. So groups only go up to 50. So that means that that the values of 53 and 57 so the data values 53 and 57 are unplaced. So question 14. So those are the 2 criticisms. Groups overlap and groups only go up to 50. So question 14. Counters in a bag are red, white or blue. Counters picked at random. Complete the table. So red, the probability of picking red is 0.15. White is 0.4. And then blue we need to figure out. So the probabilities of all outcomes add up to 1. We're given red and white. So that means blue would just be 1 minus 0.15 minus 0.4, because the probabilities of all outcomes add up to 1. So that would be 1 minus 0.15, which is 0.85 and then minus another 0.4. So that would be 0.45. Question 15. So that's the answer to question 14. Question 15. Here is a calculation. 31 times 84 equals 2,604. Use that to answer the following question. So this one's got parts. So 15a. Work out 2,604 divide 84. And that's going to be 31. Because if we write down what they're given us, if we divide both sides by 84, so on the right hand side you've got what the question wants us to ask, which is 2,604 divide 84. On the left hand side the 84 will just cancel out, so you're just left with 31. 15b, work out 3.1 times 8.4. So that one will be 26.04. Again, if you just write down what they've given us. So to get from 31 to 3.1, you divide 10. 31 to 3.1, you divide 10. To get from 84 to 8.4, you divide by 10. So you divided the left hand side effectively by 100 because you divided by 10 twice. So you'd have to do the same on the right hand side. So you divide by 100 and you get 26.04. 15c. Work out 31 times 85. So this can actually be rewritten with the information they've given us rather than doing this the long way. So 31 times 85 equals 31 times 84 plus 31 times 1. Because what 31 times 85 means is you're adding 31 to itself 84 times. So you get 85 lots of 31. And that's the same as saying I'm going to add 31 to itself 84 times or 83 times. And then you're adding another 83. So here you have, so on this side you have 85 lots of 31. On this side you have 84 lots of 31. And then here you're just adding another 31 on top of that. So you have 85 lots of 31. We're given this as 2,604. 31 times 1 is 31. So we just need to add these two together. And then that gives us 2,635. And that's 15C. So question 16. A password has 30 characters. It is made up of 5 numbers, 15 letters, and some symbols. Work out the ratio of numbers to letters to symbols. So 5 numbers, 15 letters, and then there'd be 10 symbols because the total number of characters is 30. So 5 numbers, 15 letters, and then there'd be 10 symbols because the total is 30 characters. And we have to simplify this ratio as much as possible. So the highest common factor is 5, so we can divide each number in this ratio by 5. So 5 divide 5, 1, 15 divide 5, 3, 10 divide 5, 2. And then that's question 16. Question 17. Work out 5 over 6 plus 7 over 12. Give your answer as a mixed number. So we can rewrite 5 over 6 as 10 over 12. And then rewrite 7 over 12. So we do that so we can keep the denominators the same. So that would make the addition easier, because you just have to add 10 and 7. And then the denominator is 12. That as a mixed number would be 1 and 5/12. Because 17 divide 12 is 1, remainder 5. And then the denominator is 12 anyway. Question 18. So question number 18. And this has parts. So 18A. The cost of making a phone call is a fixed charge and a charge per minute. The costs of phone calls up to 5 minutes are represented by the graph. 18A, write down the fixed charge. Okay, so if we actually just draw out this graph or sketch it out, the y-intercept is 20 pence. And because this is a straight line, then it's gonna have the equation y equals mx plus c. Y equals do this. Y equals mx plus c. So c is the y-intercept, which we already identified is 20. M is the gradient of this line. So to work out the gradient, you need 2 data points. So we'll go for the highest and the lowest. The x value of this highest point is 5 minutes, and the y value is 60 pence. And then we already have the y-intercept. That would be 0, 20, the coordinates. So we can work out the gradient. That will be m equals 60 minus 20, because it's the change in y. And then the change in x will be 5 minus 0. So that will be 40 over 5, which is 8 pence per minute. So what this m tells you is, for each minute of phone call you do, you'll be charged an extra 8 pence. Because your gradient is your change in y over your change in x, or the change in cost over your change in time. So to answer 18A, what is the fixed charge? That will be 20 pence, because it's your y-intercept. So 18A would be 20 pence. 18B, work out your charge per minute. So we already did this in 18A, but your charge per minute will be 8 pence per minute, because it's just the gradient of the line. So 8 pence, and it's 8 pence per minute. So 8 pence per minute is your rate. 18C, work out the cost of using a phone call lasting 7 minutes. So we already said that the equation of a straight line is y equals mx plus c. M is 8, c is 20, so we just need to substitute x for 7. X equals 7 into this equation, so 8 times 7, 56. 56 plus 20 gives you 76 pence. That's 18C. So question 19. A company sells bags of toffees and bags of mints, and then here are the numbers of sweets in 11 bags of toffee. Here are the numbers of sweets in 10 bags of mints. The company claims that the average number of sweets per bag is at least 50. Using medians, is the company's claim correct for each type of sweet? Okay, and we have to work out the median for both. Okay. So to work out the median of any list, you need to reorder the numbers, and then pick the number in the middle. So if we start off with toffees, we need to reorder this list. So the lowest number is 47, 49, and there's two of them. Then there's two 50s. Then there's 51, and then there's 54, and then there's 55, and there's three of them. And then there's 57. So we've reordered the list from lowest to highest. Then we just pick the number in the middle of this. So we have to cross the numbers as we go inwards. So you're left with 51, and that's the median number of toffees. So 51 is more than the average that they're claiming, which is 50. So for toffees, we would tick yes. So toffees, yes. So for mints, we need to just do the same process again. And actually, they've already reordered it for us, because the list is from lowest to highest. So if I just quickly rewrite this, and then we need to choose the number in the middle, so cross out the numbers as we go in, and then you're here now. So when this situation arises, when you have two numbers remaining after crossing the other numbers out, then the median will be the mean of those two remaining, or it'll be the mean of those two remaining numbers. So we have 48 and 50. The mean of that will be 49, because it's between 48 and 50. And that would be the median number of mints in this sample, I guess. So there's 49 mints. That's less than the average that they're claiming, which is 50. So for mints, we would say no. Question 20. Question 20. Freddy tries to work out 29.15 plus 83.47 over 9.82. His answer is 37.65. By rounding each number to the nearest 10, show that this answer is incorrect. Okay, so rounding each number to the nearest 10, so that would be 30 plus 80 divide 10. So divide 10, and then 30 plus 80, 110, 110 divide 10, 11. So you can see here that our estimate is 11. His answer is 37.65. His answer is way off our estimate, so clearly he's wrong. So 11 is not same as 37.65. So Fred's answer significantly different to estimate, and our estimate was 11. Just for the sake of clarity in the exam. But yeah, that's question 20 answered. So question 21. A straight line passes through two parallel lines. Circle the angle that is corresponding to angle x. So if we draw this out, so parallel, pair of parallel lines. There's the overline. This is angle x, and we need to work out which one is corresponding to this. So whenever you have corresponding angles, then you need to draw the F shape. So F shape. So there's the F shape, and then the corresponding one will be this, which in this diagram is B in the exam question. So the answer is B, because it's corresponding to X when you draw the F shape. Question 22. So question 22. This has parts. So 22a. So Lucy wants to simplify 6a minus, so 6a minus 7b minus 2a. So she wants to simplify this. She writes 4a minus 7b. Is she correct? So if we simplify this, we need to expand the brackets. But we need to times the brackets by -1 because you have a minus here. So that would be 6a minus, so minus times 7b, or negative times 7b, minus 7b, and then minus times minus 2a. Two minuses, so that becomes a plus, and then 2a. Simplify this, so that would be 8a, 6a plus 2a, and then minus 7b. So she's not correct. So no is what we tick, because it's 18 minus 7b, not 4a minus 7b. 22b. Lucy also wants to simplify 3p squared times 5p to the power of 7. She says add 3 and 5, then add 2 and 7, so that you get 8p to the power of 9. Tick a box for each part of her method. So you wouldn't add 3 and 5, you'd multiply them, because it's 3p squared times 5p to the 7, so you multiply the coefficients. So the first part is not correct. The second part, add 2 and 7. The second part, add 2 and 7, is correct, because they're the indices, and when the basis is the same, which is p, then you just add the indices when multiplying. The 3p squared and 5p to the power of 7, so that's correct. And the final answer when you do it would be 3 times 5, so 15p to the 9, if you actually do this out. 22c. So 22c. Lucy thinks of a number. 10 times the number is the same as 10 divided by the number. Give a possible value of the number. So it's going to be the magnitude of the number when you're timesing by 10 is the same as 10 divided by that number. So this would mean the magnitude of the number would have to be 1, because 10 times 1 is 10 and 10 divided 1 is 10. But you can also have -1. because 10 times minus 1 is minus 10, and 10 divided minus 1 is minus 10. So the magnitude is 1, but it can either be plus 1 or minus 1. So 1 or minus 1. You can choose any which one. Question 23. So this question, Lily's age is 2 years and 4 months, so 2 years 4 months. Hugo's age is 1 year 8 months. Write Lily's age in months as a fraction of Hugo's age in months. Give your fraction in its simplest form. So Lily's age in months would be 2 years 4 months. So in months that would be 28 months, and Hugo's age in months would be 20. And then we have to simplify this fraction, so we can divide by 4 both the numbers, so that would be 7 over 5, and that's the answer. Question 24. Working alone, it takes Kevin 4 hours to paint an area of 12 square meters. And then working together at the same rate will take us 8 hours, because 24 is 2 times 12 is correct. So Kevin and Steve are going to paint an area of 24 square meters, and then it says working together at the same rate will take us 8 hours, because 24 is 2 times 12 is correct. Okay, so even though they are going to paint an area that's double what Kevin would normally paint, of 12 square meters, because they're working together, then it would take them, they would be working at double the rate, so it would take them the same amount of time. So if I was to say this if I was to do this calculation wise, so Kevin, his rate is 12 square meters over 4 hours, which is 3 square meters per hour. And then Steve, so the combined rate when they work together is going to be 6 square meters per hour. 6 square meters per hour. So that means that it would take 24 square meters divided by 6, which equals 4 hours. So the answer is no. It would still take the same amount of time, because we said when they work together it's 4 hours, which is the same amount of time as Kevin painting 12 square meters. We take the same, this is only 1 mark, but it would take the same amount of time as Kevin doing 12 square meters. So Kevin doing it alone, he works at 3 square meters per hour. When you combine Kevin and Steve, then the combined rate is 6 square meters. So then that means it would take them 4 hours to paint an area of 24 square meters, which is the same amount of time as Kevin doing it alone for 12 square meters. Question 25. So question 25A. solve the inequality 5x plus 6 is greater than 3x plus 15. So 5x plus 6 is 5x plus 6 is greater than 3x plus 15. So we need to we solve this like a normal equation, but obviously we have got inequalities, so you'd keep the inequality sign. So if we bring the x's to the left hand side and the numbers on the right, so that would be 2x on the left side, and then on the right side it would be 15 minus 6, so 9, and then you divide by 2, so x would be greater than 4.5. That's 20, so 25b. Write down the inequality represented by the number line. So the number line, so 0 and then 7, then there's a black dot and a white circle. Black dot is at 2, white dot, the black dot is at 2, white circle is at 5. So the inequality, so that tells us what the limits of this inequality are. So we got x is, so the two limits for this inequality is going to be 5 as the upper limit and 2 as the lower limit. But we need to also look at the colors, because the black dot tells us that the number is inclusive of that range. So it's not just 2 is less than x, it's 2 is less than or equal to x, because a black dot means it's inclusive of that value. Whereas the white dot or the white circle means that it's not inclusive of that value, so it's just x is less than 5. It's not inclusive of 5, so we wouldn't put the equal less than or equal to sign. So this is the final answer. So 2 is less than or equal to x, which in turn is less than 5. So question 26. Question 26. The diagram shows an octagon. X equals 1 and y equals 5 are lines of symmetry. Work out the coordinates of point Q. So if we sketch this octagon, so the lines of symmetry, this is y equals 5, this is x equals 1, and we're given P is, the coordinates of P are -2, -6, and we need to work out Q, which is there. So we know so we can work out the center of this. We can work out the center of this octagon because it's where the two lines of symmetry meet. So the coordinates of the center is 1, 5. X equals 1, y equals 5. So if we can work out what the vector is that moves the point P to the center, then we can repeat that process from the center to point Q, and that would give us the answer. So to get from P to Q, the vector would be, so -2 to 1, that would be 3 to the left. So this is from point P to the center. The x value is -2 for P and 1 for the center, so that would be 3 to the left. And then to go up, you'd have to go from -6 to 5, which is 11. So from -6 to 5 is 11 up. So that would be the vector that moves point P to the center. So now you'd have to repeat this vector starting from the center, and then you'd have to apply this same vector again. So from the center, you'd have 1, 5. Apply this vector to go to point Q. So Q, the x coordinate of Q is 1 plus 3, because the vector is 3 there. And then the y coordinate of Q is 5 plus 11, which is 16. So that's the coordinates of Q. So Q is 4, 16. Question 27A. Work out 2,000 times 70,000, 2,000 times 70,000. Give your answer in standard form. So if we do 2,000 in standard form, that would be 2 times 10 to the power 3. And then 70,000 is 7 times 10 to the power of 4. So we can now do this calculation easily. 2 times 7 is 14. 10 cubed times 10 to the power of 4 is 10 to the power of 7. But this needs to be in standard form, and to be in standard form, this needs to be less than 10. So we can divide that number by 10. So that would be 1.4. And then to compensate, we'd have to raise this number by a power of 10. So that would be not 10 to the 7, it'd be 10 to the 8. And then that's 27A. 27B. So 27B. Work out 1.8 times 10 squared over 3 times 10 to the power minus 1 and give your answer as an ordinary number. So 1.8 times 10 to the power of 2, so 10 squared, and then 3 times 10 to the power of minus 1. So we can do these numbers, we can deal with these numbers separately. So we can do 1.8 divide 3, so that would be 0.6. And then we have to deal with these numbers. So 10 squared divide 10 to the power of minus 1. So because the base is 10, they're both equal, then you subtract the indices because it's a division. So 2 minus 1, that would be 2 plus 1. So that would be 3. And then it wants the answer has to be an ordinary number. So this would be 0.6 times 1,000, which is 600. So that's 27B. Question 28. So question 28. A, B, C, and D are junctions. So A, B, C, and D are junctions on the motorway. CD is 3 times the distance of AB, and BC is 25 miles. Salma drives from A to C at an average speed of 62 miles per hour for 30 minutes. Work out AD. Okay, so if we draw this out, if we draw the information that they've given us out on a diagram, so here's A, there's D, B, C. So CD is 3 times the distance of AB. So we'll do this in algebraic terms. So if we call ABX, the distance ABX, then because CD is 3 times AB, so CD will be 3x. And then BC is 25 miles. And then we're given that Salma drives from A to C at an average speed of 62 miles per hour for 30 minutes. So speed equals distance over time. So if we rewrite this, if we put that information down, So speed is 62. Distance is going to be from A to C, so x plus 25. X plus 25. And then the time is 30 minutes, but because we are dealing the speed in miles per hour, then we have to convert the time in hours. So we wouldn't put 30 minutes, we'd put 0.5 hours. So we just need to solve for x. So to solve this equation for x, times both sides by a half, so 31 equals x plus 25, and then that means x is 6. So if we now substitute this into the diagram, so x is 6, so we know AB is 6 miles, and CD will be 3 times that, so 3 times 6, 18. So now we just need to add these three numbers together to get AD. So 25, 6, 18. When we add them all together, so that would be 49 miles. So question 29. Here is a sketch of a graph. So if I draw the sketch out, so x, so there's y-axis, circle the equation of this graph, so it's going to be, and k is a constant, so this is just pattern recognition. It's going to be y equals k over x, because the for this graph we have two asymptotes. We got the y-axis and the x-axis. This is where the graph approaches close to the y and the x-axis, but it never actually touches them, so they're both asymptotes. And this is a characteristic of y equals k over x. It's just a pattern recognition question. It's not the other three options. It's not y equals kx, because that's a straight line that passes through the origin. K plus x is also a straight line, but it passes through the y-intercept at k with a positive a positive gradient of +1. And for y equals k minus x, it's a similar thing. It's a straight line which passes through the y-axis at k, but it has a gradient of -1. So this question is just pattern recognition. Question 30. So write 200 as a product of prime factors and give your answer in index form. So we need to divide 200 by the prime numbers as we go down. So we can start off by dividing, so we can start off by doing 200 divide 2. That would give 100. And then we can do 100 divide 2, which gives you 50. That's also divisible by 2, so that's 25. We can't divide by 2 now, but we can't divide by 3 either, but we can divide by 5. That's the next prime number we can divide by, so that gives you 5. So 25 divided 5 gives you 5, and then we can divide that by 5, and then that's 1. So we'd stop when we approach 1. So now we need to work out the product of these prime numbers, but we have to give it in index form. So there's 3 2's, so the answer would be 2 cubed, and then there's 2 5's, so that would be 5 squared. And then there's the answer. Question 31. Question 31. So here is a right angled triangle. Work out the value of x using trigonometry. So this is 10. This angle is 30. and this is x. So if we just go through SOHCAHTOA, so if we work out what the size we have in relation to this angle, this is 30 degrees, so we have an opposite, which is x, and this side is 10, so that would be the hypotenuse of this triangle. So we have an opposite and a hypotenuse, so we need to use the sine ratio. So sine equals opposite over hypotenuse, and then that's equal to the sine of 30. So x is 10 times the sine of 30. We know that the sine, so sine of 30 is a half, so 10 times a half is 5. So 10 times a half, which is 5. So that's the value of x. So there are some common trigonometric values that we should know, so just commit to memory. If we just go over that now, so if we do if we draw out this, so the angles from 0 to 90, so 0, 30, 45, 60 and 90, the sine of these values, so the sine of 0 is 0, sine of 30 is a half, which is what we had in our question, sine of 45 is 1 over root 2, sine of 60 is root 3 over 2, and then the sine of 90 is 1. Going for cosine, it's the exact same numbers, but it's in reverse order. So the cosine of 0 is the same as the sine of 90, so 1, and then you just work backwards. So this one would be root 3 over 2. This one would be 1 over root 2. This one would be a half, and then a 0. So can you see here that the sine and cosine, the sequence of cosine for values between 0 and 90 is just the reverse for that of the sine sequence. And then for tangent is a separate one in itself. So the tangent of 0 is just 0. The tangent of 30 is 1 over root 3. Tangent of 45 is 1. Tangent of 60 is root 3, and for 90 degrees is undefined. This is just something to commit to memory. Just basically remember what the sequence for sine is. And for cosine, it'll just be the reverse order. And then tangent, you just need to remember 0, 1 over root 3, 1, and then root 3, and then undefined. It's just memory work. But yeah, that's that. Then the next question, the last question, is question 32. So we need to factorize x squared plus 7x plus 10. So we have a quadratic here, which means we're gonna have two pairs of brackets when we factorize. And to find out what numbers go in each of these brackets, we need to find two numbers that multiply together to give 10, but add up to give 7. So if we will write down the pairs of numbers that multiply to give 10, you can have 10 and 1, or you can have 5 and 2. So out of these, the pair that adds up to 7 would be 5 and 2, so positive 5, positive 2. So that would be the numbers that go inside. And that's the answer to the last question. Yeah, so that was a walkthrough for this paper. Yeah, hope it was useful.